Thank you, Tim, and welcome to the 2020 City of Marion State of the City Luncheon, presented by Indiana Michigan Power. Please continue eating as we begin today's program. At the Chamber, we're so thankful for the partnerships within our community that allow us to host events like today. Our community is stronger when we're all working together. Mayor Alumbaugh has a full agenda for our program today, so without further ado, I'll turn it over to him. Mayor Alumbaugh.
First of all, how many of you were here last year for the State of the City? How many of you noticed the slide with the podium up there and there's a bottle of water on the podium? Apparently her new employee, Brittany, thinks that's funny. For those of you who weren't here, I spilled an entire bottle of water on Kylie Jackson's laptop, or Mac. It was a Mac, right? Very expensive, and we had to replace it, but the water was falling. I kept hoping that's the city's laptop, but I was wrong. So anyway, appreciate the humor, Kylie, not so much. First of all, I want to say some thank yous. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce here with Kylie Jackson and her team. They do a great job every year with this. I want to thank them for doing this each year. It's a great event for our community. Secondly, I want to thank Alex Husky and the team here at Ivy Tech. Alex is in the back there. Thank you, Alex. What a beautiful facility you have and what a great asset you guys are to this community. And finally, I want to thank our caterer today, Peace and Plenty. I really enjoyed that. I've not been eating potatoes much lately on my diet, but I broke the diet and enjoyed those potatoes immensely. So, Peace and Plenty, thank you so much. Now, as I tend to do over the years, I also want to tell you this. Thank you. I am very grateful and honored that I've been selected to serve the next 4 years as your mayor again. Really proud of the efforts our team has put together to try to get Marion where we think we need to be. And again, I appreciate the next 4 years of being able to continue to serve you in this capacity. As always, I tend to, at the State of the City, bring a team with me to speak. And I start out with my leadoff man, the director and head man at the utilities, who does an outstanding job with Marion Utilities, Chuck Binkerd. Chuck, would you come up and speak, please?
Well, thank you, Mayor, and appreciate the invitation and the opportunity to come and speak to you all this morning. As you notice, I held on to my computer and brought it up here safe and sound. So,
But you won't be speaking again.
Oh, well, mission accomplished. Just kidding. I love the opportunity to come out and to just chat with you all a little bit about what's been going on at Marion Utilities, and we're so proud of our accomplishments and proud of our teams and our folks who work so hard to keep services running, and pardon the pun, but flowing for you all. And we're grateful for that opportunity. So one thing that we provided for you today, you'll see on your tables these nice little cards that we had printed up. Take a look at those. We've got a lot of information. We call it our year in review for 2019. Just some facts and some statistics about some of the things we've accomplished and some of the things that our folks are doing. We've been working diligently to stay in compliance with literally hundreds of regulations, and our teams have done an awesome job doing that, and so we look at that as a huge benefit to our community. So take a look at those. If you have any questions or anything spurs a thought or comment, feel free to check in with us. We've got a team of folks from our senior leadership team and leadership team here with us, and we've got most of our board is here with us today. So if you see one of us, stop and chat about that a little bit. We'd love to talk to you. But today I'm going to spend most of my time talking about our solid waste utility. The solid waste utility came under the direction of the Utility Service Board about 5 or 6 years ago, and we've appreciated the opportunity to learn more about that business and to learn about how we can best provide that service for our community. There's been certainly challenges, and there's been a lot of victories. One of the things that I wanted to particularly kind of hone in on for today is the subject of recycling. As you know, most of you know, I'm sure, our recycling process for the City of Marion has consisted of a commingling process whereby we've provided these special blue bags, and you're probably all aware of the blue bags. And folks take the bags, put your recyclable materials in those bags, and then that goes in with the solid waste container, and we receive that at the tipping floor at the transfer station, and we have folks who literally pull those bags out from the solid waste material, and we put those in a separate container. We take those to Indianapolis for recycling. Those are sorted at a facility, and that's the process that we've used to provide recycling for the community. There are obviously a lot of benefits to recycling. Recycling is an important element for any community, I think, but the industry has changed significantly. In 2018, China, being the primary recipient of more than 50% of the world's recycled materials, passed a new law that essentially prohibits them from receiving recycled materials in their country. So it was a game changer, a game changer for us in Marion, a game changer for folks all across our country, and certainly a game changer in the industry. So primarily for folks who recycle like we do with the commingling process, China was very welcoming in terms of receiving those commingled materials. They had labor forces that they didn't have to pay a lot of money to, who could separate and sort those materials out, and that was the process. They benefited from the materials that did have value, and it was a good thing for them, and it was a good thing for all of us, because we could inexpensively get rid of the recycled materials, doing a good thing, doing the right thing for the environment, and it made things work for everyone. But in 2018, early 2018, that all changed. So our industry has been kind of reeling a little bit in terms of how do we deal with that? What are we going to do with all this material? And there literally are in our country and all across the world, there are warehouses that are full of this material, and nobody knows what to do with it. So the benefit has been lost, really, in terms of that element of recycling. So commingled recycling doesn't seem to be the way of the future for sure. For us in Marion, we collected, as an example, in 2019, about 10,000 tons of solid waste material, and about 33 tons of that were recycled material. So you can see that there's a pretty big disparity there between what we could collect and what we did actually collect. So out of the 10,000 tons of material, we had to look at, how do we make this a better situation? How do we do a better job? And given the fact that now China will not receive the materials, that there's not a market for the materials, it seemed like somewhat of an insurmountable problem for us to attack. But again, we believe in recycling. We think it's the right thing to do. We think it's good for the environment in many ways. We think it's the responsible thing to do. We think there's some sustainability there. And so, we want to make sure that we continue our efforts to provide that for our community. So recycling is important to us. So we've looked at, what do we do? How do we tackle this thing? And as we begin to look at it and break it down a little bit, it seemed that one of the biggest impediments to the whole system is that the commingled recycling materials are contaminated. There's a lot of contamination. So if you have jars or bottles or cans, plastic containers, those types of things that are not cleaned out properly, that material automatically gets diverted and ends up in the landfill. If you have paper products that get contaminated, if they get food waste on them, or if they get wet for whatever reason, those materials are contaminated and they get diverted out of the recycling stream and they end up in the landfill. And so for us, that was a big deal. So we had to look at what that meant for us. When we look at what it takes for us to process recycled materials in our community, it costs us about $750 a ton to process that material. And we're thinking, okay, that's good. We'll pay the premium cost because we're doing a good thing. Well, it costs us about $150 a ton to process solid waste materials. And then when we started looking at this contamination issue, we started looking at, some of the other factors that are involved with recycling in this way, the commingled recycling. We started to realize that we're paying a premium, $750 a ton, for material that mostly seems to be going into the landfill. And it's all obviously because of contamination and because of other elements like that. So we had to figure out, what are we going to do different? What are we going to do better? How are we going to provide a meaningful service to our community and do something that's good for the environment? There are certainly benefits in keeping material out of the landfill. We don't want to just say we'll just put everything in the landfill. That's not good stewardship. There are issues where recycling programs can actually reduce CO2 emissions for a variety of reasons, energy savings. All of those things are important and associated with the benefits of recycling. So what we did is we started looking around and we said, well, who's doing something that works? Because quite frankly, if you look across the nation, Indiana, and certainly worldwide, it seems that it's not uncommon for folks, given the current status of the market, to just say we're not going to do it anymore. And many communities have done that. They would say we're not going to do it, it's not worth it, we're spending way too much money, the stuff's ending up in a landfill anyway, and so we're just not going to do anything. Other communities have continued to provide recycling opportunities. The city of Indianapolis, a year or so ago, they had to double, their fees doubled for them to be able to continue to keep a recycling program. So those are some of the factors that make a difference and that make it a challenge for us to continue. But we've seen some evidence that there's some very positive opportunities to continue recycling. So some of the things we're looking into would include mimicking what the county operation is out on Garthwaite Road. They run a very well-run process. It's a separated, pre-separated system. So if you bring materials out there, you need to have it already separated. So you separate it based on the type of plastics, you separate it based on the types of paper, you separate it based on all of those different factors. If you're doing cans or if you're doing glass, it has to be clean. And they have an attendant that watches and monitors that system, and it works very, very well. It's a very, very good operation and well done. So we said, what if we tried to mimic that? And we certainly didn't want to be in competition with that facility at all. We're certainly partners here in the community. So what we're looking at, what we're talking to our board about, and what we're considering is a program that would essentially mimic what they're doing. We would do it on their off days of operation. So we would provide that opportunity at one of our facilities. They're on North Washington Street. We would provide a drive-through opportunity for folks to come and drop off just as much as the county does. We would run when they're not open, we would run. When they're open, we would be closed. And so we would open up some opportunities for folks to continue that process. The materials are separated. The attendants make all the difference. They won't allow materials to go in containers where it shouldn't go. They would make sure that it's clean and useful. And running that kind of an operation, there's actually some value in the material. So you're not going to make enough money as you could in the past to actually pay all your costs and break even. But it's certainly an opportunity to bring some revenue back into the system. So those are the things we're looking at. Again, we think that recycling is a very important part of what we do and what we offer for the community. There's a lot of value there, so we don't want to lose that. And so that's some of the things we're looking at. Again, if you have questions, we love to talk about it. So please look us up, and we'd love to chat with you more about it. If you have a group that you'd like us to come and speak at, please mention that. We'll be glad to have somebody come and talk to you more about that or any of the other elements or issues that we're working on. So thanks again, Mayor, for giving me the opportunity to speak for a few minutes. Thank you.
Chuck does a great job. I believe he has most of his board here today too, so I'll recognize some of those folks here in a little bit. Next person I would like to have you listen to is a person that it took weeks for me to recruit. She was adamant about not leaving her comfort spot over in what we call G City. I was looking at Dave Huffman, he's on the council over there. But she did come over, and we're very thankful. Let me introduce to you our Controller Julie Flores.
Good afternoon. When I asked the mayor what he wanted me to talk about today, he said you can talk about anything you want. So I thought today we could maybe talk about the rules of golf, if that's okay with everybody. So, no, in all seriousness, I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you about the finances of the city. It's been my pleasure to serve as the controller for the City of Marion these past 4 years. My staff, along with our financial advisors, have worked diligently to provide financial stability and integrity within the City of Marion. Through the leadership of Mayor Alumbaugh, we've worked together with respect and thoughtfulness to develop and maintain sound decisions making in order to advance forward as a city. The mission of the Controller's Office is to uphold fiscal integrity and service, to provide accurate financial data, to be responsible, accountable, and transparent. We continue to identify areas that need to be improved upon, and we've put procedures in place that will enhance and improve the overall operations to maintain financial stability. With the collaboration of each department head and their staff, we've been able to make great strides in improving the financial strength of the city. I would like to acknowledge each department head and staff that are present here today. If you would stand. I know you're here. Thank to you and to those who are not present today. I would like to thank you for your many sacrifices and for being responsible and understanding. Your efforts have not gone unnoticed, and I appreciate everything you do for the City of Marion. In reviewing 2019, 98% of our budget was spent, and this is in line with the previous years since I've been there. Our revenues have exceeded our expenditures, which allowed the 2019 ending cash balance to be $623,000 more than the ending cash balance in 2018. The circuit breaker trend, or property tax caps, if you will, continue to rise. In 2019, $4.1 million was lost in property tax revenue. The Department of Local Government and Finance projects that those losses will be $4.9 million in 2020. So I am again thankful that the local option income tax, or the local option income tax, or LIT as we call it, was adopted in 2018, because those revenues have certainly lightened the impact of the circuit breaker credits. Our insurance fund deficit was reduced by $281,000 in 2019, even though the city experienced extremely high claims experience. They were very overwhelming. The first 6 months of 2019, the claims were $1 million more than that same time period in 2018. So had those claims remained steady, our deficit would have been reduced by over $1 million. So we continue to search for opportunities to bring the fund deficit to a positive number. An example is the wellness program that we've implemented in 2018. The employees have really been engaged, and participation has increased in that area. So we feel like with the employees being more engaged in their health and wellness, that our hope is that those claims will go down. Thank you to Insurance Management, by the way, for all their help in helping us achieve these goals that we are striving for. We appreciate your, Michelle, thank you. While we're encouraged by the progress that we have made so far, our cash reserves are not in a satisfactory place. Our goal is to have sufficient cash reserves to operate efficiently, which is ideally 15 to 20% of the expenditures. And this is something that I would like to achieve going forward. In closing, I would like to thank the mayor for entrusting me to oversee the finances. I don't take this lightly, this appointment. As we continue to be fiscally responsible to the citizens of Marion, we will not forget whose money we're spending. Thank you again.
And yes, I made the right choice. She's doing an incredible job. Let me tell you, when she came in, I told her when I was recruiting her, I think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be really bad. And she walked into my office maybe the first or second week, and she said, wow. She was stunned. And I said, I didn't lie to you. I told you what I thought you might need to be ready for. And so let's just sit down and get to work. And man, have they gone to work. Her and her team upstairs do a wonderful job. So very proud of her. Not much of a golfer, but a great controller. Actually, there's two golfers in here that I absolutely don't like playing with because they beat me every time. Julie Flores, and I don't know where Kylie's at now. Kylie Jackson, the chamber director. Those two can flat out play. So we appreciate that, Julie, and all you do for the city. And next, I want to introduce to you a man who came alongside me and came out of retirement to be the chief of staff for the City of Marion. And he truly has been an extension of my office. And just thankful for him and the entire team for just doing things with integrity and honor and making sure that we, as she just said, we're playing with your money. This isn't our money. We want to leave this place in a much better place than we inherited, and we intend to do so. And he's been such a great part of that. So let me introduce to you Chief of Staff Mike Flynn.
It's been 4 years. You think I would have learned. The mayor wouldn't allow me to speak as I wanted to. He gave me a script that I'm going to follow. So with time being, I thought I'd have like 20 minutes, and he said maybe 5. So my comments are basically gone. Julie already introduced our department head, so we've eliminated that one. But I will tell you that the men and women who serve you through city government are some of the best I've ever worked with. Like most government employees, they are charged to do more with less. And this group of men and women have been exemplary in their efforts to make sure they provide us the best service they can. So I would echo what Julie has said and thank you to all of the department heads and the way that you manage your people. I think we have a good team moving forward, and I'm looking forward to 2020. To give you some specifics quickly, I'm going to have to kind of revise these. Citywide Maintenance and Parks Department, James Loftus. And just so you kind of know who they are, James, would you stand, please? I know all the departments that stood once, but James Loftus is the director of our Citywide Maintenance and Parks Department, and he has probably done the most with the least of anybody in city government. They are charged with not only making sure that your streets are plowed, potholes are fixed. Maybe he's not done that good a job. But he's also responsible for making sure that the playground equipment is kept safe and available for our children to use. They pick up the debris around the city and the brush that ends up collecting after storms. So very thankful for what they have done. I asked James, what would you like to accomplish in 2020? And he said there's so much out there that we could modernize if we could just take the time to analyze how we're currently operating and what changes we might be able to make. If Julie will let me have the money, is what he said. But so James is working on that. There are some plans that he would like to implement. Hopefully we will find some funding that will allow them to provide a better service in a more efficient manner. Second is our engineering department, and you probably all know, but Mike Graff, would you please stand? Mike is responsible for our engineering and streets. All the paving that you have seen completed has been under the direction of Mike Graff. He and the mayor go out every year at the beginning of the year and try to identify those projects in which they feel are most important. Last year, I believe we had $750,000 available to us, partially through the community crossing funding. Mike is going after that grant again this year at, I believe, $400,000 to $500,000. So hopefully we will know whether we get that grant rather soon. He is in the process of updating all of the regulatory stop signs, yields, all those that as you drive around, I'm sure, see the traffic light sign that has yellow, yellow, yellow. They have faded to a point to where they're no longer of value. So another easy detail for Mike to take care of in the future here. He's also working on changing all the street signs. If you haven't seen the new ones, that have been placed up. We are going to a black and white street sign, very attractive. It wasn't the one I voted for, but it is the one that I think does look very nice now that he has them up. Just wanted to remind you that it does cost approximately $180,000 to pave 1 mile of roadway. So the money, while you're thinking, $750,000, why don't we have every street paved? We can only do so much with what we have, and Mike's done an excellent job in making sure that those dollars are utilized in the best manner possible. Just to give you a little insight, in 2020, some of the roads that he and the mayor have identified are Central Avenue, Branson Street, and North and South Fairfield Drive. They are going to continue to monitor and analyze the additional streets that will be paved. One of the focuses of the mayor, of course, is to try to look at those roads closest to our community schools, because it's very important that we make sure the children are getting there safely. The building department is our next. Jerry Falsnight. Jerry, would you stand, please? No doubt, probably the most active department that we have. Our administrative assistant, Stacy Hagee, probably receives 2/3 of the calls directed toward the building department. They do an outstanding job with, again, the limited resources they have available. Some of the accomplishments that Jerry wanted to make sure that you were aware of, that alongside the city council, they were able to enact 2 ordinances this past year. One addressing the abandoned and vacant properties, and the other is the registration of rental properties. Some of the structures or stats that he was proud of, and while the mayor and I drive around and we look at some of the blight that's in our city, we jokingly say, "What's Jerry doing?" But Jerry has done an outstanding job in attempting to eliminate our blight. Just past year, they did take down 24 structures. They went out and conducted 950 building inspections to ensure that they are meeting the code and are safe for those inhabiting them. There were a little over 3,000 code enforcement inspections and over 1,500 violations cited. So, again, his code enforcement unit consists of 3 people. So for them to get out and hustle the way they have is very, very productive. We don't have time for that last one, Jerry. Next, the planning department, Sam. These kind of go hand in hand. Sam Ramsey, our planning director. Is Lisa here also? Okay. Lisa Todd, who is his right-hand man, has done an outstanding job in making sure that we've met the needs of the investors that have looked at us. Some of those that he cited were, of course, we've had the expansion of CIE, Barr Brothers, and if you don't know, Wings Etc. is open on the bypass, so that's probably one of the most things they look forward at City Hall. Any restaurants coming? Any restaurants? So Sam plays a crucial role in that. When they come to start looking at us, he's there to make sure that all the zoning issues are done, that permitting is being coordinated through Jerry's department. It's quite a task, and they have done it in a very efficient manner, so we're pleased with that. Last year, we did have 32 new home builds, which was up from 29 the previous year. $6.2 million were committed in the new home investments, and over $6.6 million were invested in commercial builds by investors looking at Marion. There's kind of a rumor going out there, but I can tell you we are going to have a couple more businesses that have invested in Marion that will be underway here shortly. So there is still growth coming, and we're very excited about that, and thanks Sam for the job he does. As you may know too, we've also partnered with the Grant County Economic Growth Council this year. They are kind of conducting our economic development for us, and I know Michaela is here. Is Tim? Tim, would you guys stand up, please? Because you guys do an excellent job for us. Their role is for Grant County. That is their organization's mission. But they have contracted with the City of Marion to help us focus on those folks who are looking for a place to locate. So we've appreciated everything that they have done. Trying to cut them down for us here. Cafe Valley, of course, they invested $2 million. CIE, Central Indiana Ethanol, over $5 million. And the General Cable Group, or Prismian, I never get that correct, the sound word, has over $1 million. And just so General Motors continues to bring in additional products for production as well. So we feel like we're in a fairly stable situation with some of the manufacturers we have, and are constantly looking for those that are wanting to expand and relocate. Our Transportation Department, Jeff Edwards. Would you please stand, Jeff? Jeff Edwards. I don't want to single anybody out, but this guy probably is the epitome of a supervisor that I would want to have. I've told him if I could have 10 of him, I'd be extremely pleased. This past year, they provided transportation for over 257,000 riders, which is incredible. 4,700 plus were actually ADA passengers. So not only do they assist in transporting the citizens of Marion around, they have a special program that is geared toward ADA issues that we attempt to address. One of the things that I like to cite about Jeff's group is he's constantly going above and beyond the call of duty. The fire department had an issue up at Martin Boots Apartments recently where the residents were being evacuated. Jeff gathered some bus drivers together and provided transportation for those residents to get them to hotels and other housing so that they wouldn't be displaced. One of my favorite, I had a call from a woman who said during 1812, they were transporting a family back to Justice for their car when the little boy realized he had left a hatchet he'd purchased near the battlegrounds at a picnic table. So they mentioned it to Jeff as he was riding the bus back. He got on, called a bus driver. It was her last run. She drove out to 1812, got off the bus, went searching for the hatchet, and located it. She brought it back to the young boy, and his parents couldn't have been more elated at the fact that they took the time to address a concern that they had, which was far beyond the scope of their responsibility. So I attribute a lot of that to Jeff's leadership, and keep up the good work, Jeff. The fire department. The fire department has done an incredible job in their training over the last few years, and this year they've exceeded it far beyond my expectations. The men at our fire stations actually completed 21,000 training hours, which is incredible when you think of the job that they do. They also provided life-saving CPR training to 106 civilians as part of their outreach program. So they're continually reaching out to make sure that they provide as much assistance as they can. I'm going to pass your hosting. They are going to try to conduct training for those in the county, and they're going after a $1 million grant, which we're going to keep our fingers crossed will be used for equipment and radios for the fire stations, mobile and handheld. The police department, Chief Haley, if you would stand, please. She's not hard to figure out. She's one with a badge on, so. But Angie, too, has done an outstanding job with the resources that she's been given. As she provided the information that I'd asked for, we looked at the last 19 years of the Uniform Crime Report, and the City of Marion is trending down in every category, with the exception of homicide, which unfortunately is a result of some of the homicides we had a year or so ago. I can tell you that last year we had 4 homicides, which was down. Every homicide was solved. Not just by, as the chief pointed out to me, it wasn't just the hard work of the detectives and the police department, although there were countless hours put into these investigations. They had cooperation from the community, and that is huge when it comes to trying to solve some of these crimes. So she wanted me to reiterate that we can't do these without the help of the community, and we appreciate them stepping in. Last year, her men and women responded to 53,651 calls for service. That's up over 2,000 from the previous year. The officer-initiated calls, and those are the ones that the officers are actually out there and identify themselves. They aren't sent to by a dispatch, was over 26,000. That's up over 3,000 from the year before. And they average, with these men and women, average 147 calls a day. You're talking that sometimes we may have 5 officers on a shift out there to work, and they are addressing crime and incidents of which most agencies have twice that in manpower. And honestly, I attribute a lot of that to the leadership that she's brought to the department and the way that she has been a servant leader to them. So thank you, Angie, and thank you to your men and women. One of the stories I like to share, it's kind of a police fire story, is we had a shooting in a neighborhood last year where an elderly man's home had been hit by fire. The bullets, the projectiles actually penetrated the walls of his home, causing the cold air from the outside to come in. During the investigation, they realized it was an elderly man who lived there who was not able to make the repairs. His income would not permit it. The fire department and the Marion Police Department got together, went out, got the supplies, got the materials, came back, and actually patched the holes in his house so that he could continue to have heat in the residence without the cold penetrating. So, again, another example of our men and women going above and beyond the call of duty. What we call them public safety, they're also public servants. So, chiefs, thank you. Keep up the good work. And in community relations, Kayla Price Vodkin, Layla Price, what did I say, Kayla? Kayla wrote out with us, she's always wanting attention. Layla is one of those jugglers who has so many balls in the air that she sometimes doesn't know what to do, and she has done an outstanding job with every detail that we have given her. She is basically responsible for the website that we created and have up and online, which is so informative. Again, Layla, thank you for all you've done there. Her goal this past year was she actually created a welcome bag, something that years ago, you as a new resident would receive things from not-for-profit organizations or the community. Layla has created a bag that consists of not only information pertaining to the city, but to things around the county, services that they can have. Trying to think, the City of Marion logo, and they actually come to the office to have the bag given to them by the mayor when he's available. So we've had a few come. I know the first one I met with, ironically, I thought, okay, this is a warm fuzzy, but it's not a big deal. They were extremely grateful. They moved here, I believe, from Colorado, and they had never experienced anything like it. So that was as a result of the things that Layla did. And I'm sure I've gone over my time. I apologize, but we have cut it in half. Mayor, thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to serve with you and to try to help move this community forward. Thank you.
Oops, forgot my notes. Again, I'm just very proud of this team that we put together. Fire Chief Paul David, would you stand up, please? He just took over here first of the year. He was fire chief, and now he's been put back in that role. We appreciate your leadership and your service to the City of Marion. Thank you. Now, quickly, I'd like to recognize, would the council members please stand, City Council? And also Dave Huffman from the Gas City Council. Is there any Gas City Council? I'm just, hey, the more we all learn to work together with each other, the better this community and this county will be. So we appreciate your service too, Dave. And Corey Williams is here. This young lady wants to stay engaged and have a part in the decision-making of our community. I will be putting on a board that she had chosen at the first of the next year. Have a spot for her picked out. And so we encourage all the young people who want to get involved in the community. Don't wait till you get older, get involved now. It was really a cool thing to see so many young people get involved in the game this past election. So thank you, Tori. Now I'd like to make sure all city employees stand, not just the department heads. Any city employees that are here, and it may be mostly just department heads, but all city employees. Kayla, that includes you too, but we won't know if you're standing. And she's doing a great job with the neighborhoods, by the way. Outstanding work. Okay, and then I'd like some of the places we partnered with. I see Heidi here, I see Michaela and Tim from the Growth Council, Heidi from Main Street. Would you guys stand up that have been partnering? AEP's over here. Would you two stand up? They're working with us and providing funding to help move our community forward. If there's any others, because I was trying to look around, but I wasn't sure that we've been partnering with. Jackie Doty back there, please stand. Doing a great job for our community. We appreciate everything you do. And then quickly, I'd like to recognize Bill Bowers. Would you please stand? He's invested deeply in downtown Marion. We are so grateful to see that building come alive. I know Linda Harmon is ecstatic. So his whole building on the north side of the square is full. He signed, the last lease was signed. It will be filling up with another business that we'll announce when they're ready to be announced. But that whole building is coming to life. So we're just thankful. Bill Reese is here, Cinder Wellness. He's got 2 projects he's still working on. I talked with him this morning at Tree of Life. So he's here. Appreciate your investment. And I think that's it. Trent's not here, is he? I didn't see John, Perez, or Trent, but we do appreciate you. And now, I would like anybody serving on our board or commission for the City of Marion to please stand up. Any board or commission. Now, the utility board's all here, and they're sitting there like, any of you sitting on a board or commission. Alex is on the Board of Works here. Stay up for a minute here. You guys are like you're ashamed to be serving. We definitely appreciate your serving our community. One of the things I'm trying to be very intentional with is changing who we let represent on boards and commissions, and be very intentional in making sure we have female and minority people have a voice too, because I think that's been sorely lacking. We need to have a broad representation on our boards and commissions, because everybody should have a voice in where our city's going in the future. So I've been very intentional in trying to change the way those boards and commissions look. I do see Paul Thompson here. Would you stand? There's a person that served for many, many years on the city council, and Alan Miller over behind him. Would you stand? These people spent a lifetime in serving. So we do appreciate that. Now I think I've come through with all the announcements I need to make, but I would like to say what I'm hoping for the future. You know we're not where we want to be financially. Julie made that clear, but we've come a long way. We met with Baker Tilly a year and a half ago, and during that conversation, they told me, Mayor, you've come a long way. You're so much better off financially than you were when you started. Stay the course. By 2025-26, you should be on really stable ground. And they thought that was encouraging words to me. But they're right. We didn't get here overnight. We're not getting out of it as quickly as we'd like, but we're definitely going in the right direction. We will get there, because she knows how to say we're broke over and over again. And I'm not the only mayor hearing that. The more I go to these seminars, the more they hear the same thing from their controllers. They have to be the fiscal responsible person for every community in our state, and Julie does a great job. Mike Graff, correct me if I'm wrong, in the past 4 years, we've paved now 1/3 of all roads in the city of Marion. So we'll continue to make that a priority. The downtown is coming to life. Don't expect this. People say, I'm not sure I feel the momentum. I've talked to the mayors and leaders of other communities around us, Kokomo, Muncie, Anderson. These things happen over 10 and 20 years. These don't happen overnight. This investment doesn't just explode, it ripples. And the ripple's going to continue. It's a focus of mine. We're going to see the downtown come to life more and more. There's some projects in the works right now. Phil can't talk about his yet, how he's filling his building, and there's some other projects in downtown that have, I call it percolating. They're not finalized, but there's definitely some real strong possibilities that good things are going to happen. You know Ridley Towers, Michael Halstead, I don't believe him or Michelle, is Michelle here? That's going to be an unbelievable attraction for our downtown community when that Ridley Tower comes, and we have 29 apartments available for people to live in. I do see one person here that maybe more than almost any other role plays a key role in whether people want to live in Marion, Indiana or not. And I see Brad Lindsay and his team for Marion Community Schools, including board members. Will you stand? Because what you do is one of the most single attractive things to families that we're bringing to Marion, Indiana. So we are grateful for the leadership you provide, and the better Marion schools are, the better our community is. Downtown, here's something that's going to startle some people. I've talked about it before. I think this first time in the state of the city. Washington and Adams Street may become two-way streets again. They were two-way streets through the mid-60s when we were a much larger community and business was flourishing downtown. I've been to these other downtowns. They've switched to stop signs and two-way traffic to slow everybody down so the businesses and restaurants will flourish. Citizens in those communities and some of the store owners complained initially, but as you talk to those mayors, those same people came back to the mayors after the fact and said, thank you, business is dramatically up. Linda Harmon will tell you, just moving to the square, into Phil's building, her business has doubled. The design studio there on the north side of the square has doubled. She's still in the downtown, but she's now on the square in a perfect location. So these little things do matter. Slowing people down and creating slower traffic for businesses is crucial to their ability to succeed and be sustainable. So that's something we're looking at. It's not a done deal, but we're looking into it. It was that way for many, many years. If you think about it, the downtown began to decline in the 70s, and that's when we had already gone to the one-way streets. Get everybody through as quickly as you can, keep them moving, don't let them look at the storefronts, just go to the next stoplight 4 blocks down and keep going. That's not working. Downtown businesses began to fail. So that's one of the projects I have in mind. The downtown's still a primary focus. We were also looking at quality of life and place, and I don't think Kylie was here, the Community Foundation. I didn't see anybody from Community Foundation here, but that was such a cool thing they had here with Ben Winchester from the University of Minnesota. Quality and life and place has never been more important for rural communities. Manufacturing and industries is not the game changer it used to be. It's changing the look of your community. It's making it a healthier community. It's eliminating blight. We're looking for partners, by the way. Any of you out there decide you want to partner with the city and help fund more blight elimination? I'm all ears. We have a limited budget on that. The state doesn't give as much as they used to. So we're doing what we can with our funds, but we are looking for partnerships. We've had some business people come to me and say, hey, what if we were able to help fund a few more, if you could tear more down each year? Because that's one of our great challenges. The neighborhood preservation ordinance has been passed. That is much stronger. We have landlords that are upset about it. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's that small group I heard about when I walked the neighborhoods in 2015. They're the problem in the community, not the rules and the regulations we have in place. They're not holding their part of keeping the standards for housing for people. We're going to enforce that as best we can with limited workforce, but the preservation ordinance was much needed, and we intend to enforce it to the best of our capabilities. So that's where we're headed. Can I get a drink from you, Stacy? This is Stacy Hagee, by the way, my new assistant. Took over for Nikki Owen. Nikki's still with the city. Yes, Kylie, I did it. This is Kylie Jackson's Valentine present to me last Friday. I was just finished with an important meeting, and Stacy walks back, and Stacy's doing a great job, by the way. She said, "Here, Mayor, this is a present from Kylie Jackson to you." And I said, well, I'll just open it later. She said, no, you need to open it now, because we had an audience. And so, Kylie, you got me back, I give you that. But I will get you back too. So, these are some of the projects we're working on. We are concerned about the rest of the city, but we have to start with the heart of our city, the downtown. Until we get that as healthy as we want, we can't move on. We can do other projects when it makes sense, but I really feel like at this time, we have to keep this downtown at the heart of our city. So when people drive through on 18, they see something they're proud of instead of just shaking their head thinking, this is Marion, Indiana. And we're starting to see that thanks to people, private investment. That is the key. That's what's going to drive our community. I will be going out with the Growth Council, Main Street with Heidi Peterson. We will actively be recruiting amenities we think can help drive traffic to downtown Marion. That's where our future's headed. We've come a long way. Again, I've enjoyed the opportunity to serve, and I'm so thankful for the additional 4 years to serve you. We are doing things the right way. If you ever question anything from my leadership or myself, I hope you can never question our integrity, that we're trying to do things the right way, in a way that the Lord will be pleased with us. And I'm going to tell you the one thing you can do, and a lot of you haven't been there yet, every Monday morning, 7:30, come to City Hall, to the City Council chambers, and pray. If you're people of faith and you don't believe prayer changes, then why are you praying? He's changing things for Marion. There's a better vibe. There's a more positive vibe. It's not because of this guy standing here. It's because he's still God. He's still alive. And he still wants to change the community. And I hope you'll come and join us and make that something that's a priority for you. And let's really change our community and make it what he wants it to be. Thank you for your time and coming out again today. Appreciate you guys so much. Find a way to make a difference in your community. Don't wait for your mayor and your local government to fix everything. Be a difference maker yourself.
Thank you, Mayor Alumbaugh. I'm glad everything's stayed dry up here. We appreciate all that you're doing in our community. We look forward to seeing what 2020 holds. Once again, thank you to Indiana Michigan Power for presenting today's event, Ivy Tech for the use of the conference center, Hoosier AM/FM for broadcasting today's presentation, and Peace and Plenty for preparing today's meal. And to all of you, thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your day.